Assalamu alaikum. This is the fifth lecture of pathology of respiratory system. This is the section 1. Pulmonary tumors. Roughly, the most majority of primary lung tumors, which accounts about 95%, are carcinomas. Therefore, we will focus on the carcinoma as the pulmonary as the most common type of pulmonary tumors. So, the remaining 5% of the ratio are distributed between the carcinoid tumor, mesenchymal tumors, which include the fibrosarcoma and leiomyoma, lymphomas, benign lesions like the hamartomas. So, as we said previously, we will focus on the carcinomas as it forms the most majority of the pulmonary tumors. Really, carcinomas of the lung can be broadly categorized into two categories. First is a small cell lung cancer and non-small cell lung cancer. What is non-small cell lung cancer? It includes the adenocarcinomas, squamous cell carcinoma, and the large cell undifferentiated carcinoma. What is large cell undifferentiated, which belong to non-small cell lung cancer? It's thought to be progress from either undifferentiated squamous cell carcinoma or undifferentiated adenocarcinoma, and hence it is known as the large cell undifferentiated carcinoma. So, while we classify the pulmonary carcinomas into these two broad categories, small cell lung cancer and non-small cell lung cancer, why we collect all these forms in one category and this in another category? This depends on the biologic behavior of these tumors, because small cell lung cancer is found to be metastasized at the time of diagnosis. Therefore, it is not amenable for surgical resection because it is metastasized at the time of diagnosis. As well as the treatment is mostly better with chemotherapy, with or without radiation. Even in small cell lung cancer, he usually metastasizes at the time of diagnosis, and hence the surgical resection is not the appropriate therapeutic strategy. The strategy is by giving the chemotherapy with or without radiation according to the sensitivity of the case. By contrast, non-small cell lung cancers اللي هم هذول ثلاثتهم يشتركون بهذه الصفة أنه they are resectable, forming a central mass in the lung, and usually do not find to be metastasized at the time of diagnosis, and hence the surgical resection is the appropriate method for get rid of the tumor. And in the same time, the non-small cell lung cancers collectively are usually irresponsive to chemotherapy. They are irresponsive for chemotherapy. However, now therapies are available that target specific mutation in the genes, so the control of non-small cell lung cancer being better controlled or being more better, and the non-small cell lung cancer must be sub-classified into histologic and molecular subtypes. Sometimes we can find a combination of histologic pattern in the pulmonary carcinoma, like for example, small cell lung cancer and adenocarcinoma, okay, they are found together. This is another fact, an important fact, that the squamous cell carcinoma and the small cell carcinoma show a strong association with the smoking. Yani usually the smoking causing mostly either small cell lung cancer or squamous cell carcinoma, while adenocarcinoma is the most common type of pulmonary cancers which affect the non-smokers, as well as the patients or the persons younger than 45 years of age. About 90% of lung cancers occur in active smokers or those who stopped recently. هذا ينطيك انطباع, يعني will give you an impression that the stoppage of smoking, although reduce the possibility of cancer progression or cancer development in the patient, but it do not return to the baseline similar to the normal individual or non-smoker individual. يعني مهما يكون هو أقلع عن التدخين الآن خلاص وترك التدخين, ولكنه وترك التدخين هو يقلل الريسك مال تقدم الكانسر, ولكنه ما يرجع إلى البيز لاين بحيث يشابه الشخص النون سموكر, يبقى عنده minimum risk. Okay? The increased risk becomes 60 times greater among the habitual heavy smokers than non-smokers. يعني المدخنين يحملون 60 times risk to develop a pulmonary tumor than non-smokers. من هذه النسبة إشقد عندنا 60 ضعف ممكن التدخين يزيد من الإصابة بسرطانات الرئة, but only 11% of heavy smokers develop a lung cancer. This give an indication or raise the suspicion about the concordance of the other environmental factors or other factors in general in association with smoking for the pulmonary cancer development. Women have higher susceptibility to carcinogens in tobacco than men. So the smoker women have a higher risk for developing a pulmonary cancers than men. Yes, this is an important note also. Passive smoking اللي هو proximity to cigarette smokers, يعني الشخص من يقعد يم ناس مدخنين هذا هو passive smoker, يسمونه passive smoker. This increases the risk for development of lung cancer to approximately twice, يعني يضاعف أو يزيد الإصابة بسرطان الرئة إلى الضعف. تمام. To start with the types, squamous cell with the types of pulmonary cancer. First, squamous cell carcinoma. They tend to arise centrally in major bronchi and eventually spread to local hilar lymph node. طبعا both adenocarcinoma, small cell lung cancer, squamous cell carcinoma, هذول كلهم mostly يعني presented as a central mass. They are bronchogenic carcinomas. They are bronchogenic carcinoma, collectively known as bronchogenic carcinomas. Okay? ومثل ما قلنا سابقا أنه السكواموس cell carcinoma and the small cell carcinoma هم main cancers that develop in the smoker patients. السكواموس cell carcinoma منين تجينا إذا كان lining epithelium of the respiratory system is pseudostratified, of course in السكواموس metaplasia. من السكواموس metaplasia اللي يسوي لنا إياها السموكينج. السموكينج is an irritant. Smoke is an irritant. So the continuous smoking means you will apply a continuous irritation on the respiratory epithelium. the first thing which occur, it will cause a defect in the mucociliary function of the respiratory epithelium because there is an atrophy of the villi from the continuous inhalation of smoke. Later on, there will be a foci of metaplasia, of squamous metaplasia. These squamous metaplasia, these foci of squamous metaplasia will be anides, okay, or spots for squamous cell carcinoma development. وبالمناسبة أكو ملاحظة أخرى أنه السموكرز الهيفي سموكرز have a TP53 mutation along all the respiratory epithelial cells despite the presence or absence of metaplastic change. يعني الشخص الهيفي سموكر هذا عنده mutation بالتي بي 53 مات الريسبيراتوري epithelium كله، سواء كان بميتابليجيا أو ما بميتابليجيا. واضح؟ لذلك احنا قبل شوية قلنا انه الجيفنج اب اوف سموكينج، الاقلاع عن التدخين، راح يقلل الريسك اوف كانسر ديفلوبمنت، بس هو ما يرجع الى البيز لاين similar to the non-smoker. جيد. Squamous cell carcinoma often are preceded by development over years of squamous metaplasia or dysplasia in the bronchial epithelium، وهذا هو مصداق للكلام اللي حكيناه، which then transform to carcinoma in situ, a phase that may last for several years. الكارسينوما in situ تبقى for several years، واحنا سابقا حكينا عن الكارسينوما in situ بالجنرال concept of the neoplasia. قلنا ليش يبقى in situ for long years؟ قلنا الى ان يصير عندنا الانجيوجينيك سويتش يبدا يشتغل ويصير عندنا angiogenesis ويصير opportunity for the development of the cancer. At this time atypical cells may be identified. يعني خلال هذه المرحلة اللي بيها كارسينوما ان سايتو بالبرونكيال ابيثيليوم، الشخص هذا كان شد، ممكن انه يسوي shedding for the atypical cells in the cytologic spheres of the sputum. Although the lesion is asymptomatic and undetectable by radiograph، حتى وإن كانت هي بعدها من بين بالراديوغرافيك assays or something، ولا مسويت له clinical problems. واضح؟ eventually the small neoplasms reach the symptomatic stage من يصير عندنا growing up of tumor ويبدي يسوي bronchial obstruction وتطلع قلنا على شكل مثلا atelectasis of the lung، يطلع على شكل difficulty in respiration إذا كانت المين برونكاي هي اللي متأثرة بالكلوجر. جيد. تعالي هنا مباوع على هذه المالتيبل ستيتس فور كانسر ديفلوبمنت. هذا هو الريسبيراتوري ابيثيليوم اللي احنا نعرفه انه هو سيدو ستراتيفايد، هو one layer of يعني mono layer of columnar cells، بس distribution of nuclei appear to be of multiple layers because some of tall cells and others appears to be short, therefore the nuclear distribution will be appear up and down and hence it appears to be multiple. يعني قسم من الخلايا كلش طويل وقسم كلش قصير، فالديستريبيوشن مالت النيوكليوس يبين ناس فوق ناس جوا، فراح يطلع على شكل multiple layers. And hence in the superficial most layer there is a cilia. Here is a cilia of the respiratory epithelium. تعالي هنا جاي تشوف شنو اللي صار انه اكو shortening بالابيثيليوم، صار اكو shortening باللونج سيلز، وبعد السيلياري السيليا اختفت، absence of the cilia. جيد. بعد more progression of case the superficial cells start to be flat. So this is a squamous metaplasia. This is a squamous metaplasia of the respiratory epithelium. جاي تشوفون الخلايا شنو صارت؟ flat cells. جيد. وهذه هي النيوكليوما. زين. هنا صار عندنا dysplastic change. الcells or النيوكلياي is hyperchromatic. الأنوية صارت طوخ. واضح؟ still the basement membrane is intact. Still the basement membrane of epithelium is intact. زين هنا تطور إلى carcinoma in situ. Still the basement membrane is intact. The cells are disorganized, disoriented, مخربطة, و prominent nucleoli in the nucleus. هذه النيوكليولاي بين كلش كبار و vacuolated nucleus. تمام. تعال هنا شنو صار عندنا؟ شوف احنا هنا هذا هو البيزمنت ممبرين، هذه هي السبميوكوزال لاير. تعال هنا هذا هو البيزمنت ممبرين وهذا هو الانفيجن of the cancer cells. Here is the invasive carcinoma, invasive squamous carcinoma. This is a gross appearance. دائما قلنا هي tend to be a central lesion and large, okay, large mass in the pulmonary tissue. Here is the microscopic picture of the invasive squamous cell carcinoma. وإذا تذكرون احنا حكينا سابقا قلنا squamous cell carcinoma well differentiated type, despite its origin, whether it is from metaplastic change, whether it is developed or progressive from non-keratinized epithelium or keratinized epithelium, it will form what we call it the cell nests, اللي هي اللي نسميها البيرالز، اللي تكون بها الارrangement of the cancer cells as a rural-like structure and the keratin in the center، حتى وإن كان النسيج هو non-keratinized. أدينوكارسينوما راح أتوقف عند هذا المقطع حتى أكمل في مقطع آخر لا يكون